Since now 7 p.m.
This meeting of the Willingboro Township Council is called according to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the notice of this meeting to the Burlington County Times, by posting it on the township website, and by filing it in the office of the municipal clerk on January 3rd, 2024. This agenda is complete to the extent known. Formal actions will be taken. Ready for the roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Perone,
Present.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Present.
Mayor McIntosh.
Present.
Next, we will have our prayer by our chaplain or Captain Laurie Witherspoon of the 77th Sustainment Brigade, United States Army Reserve.
Turn on mic.
Good evening, everyone. Let us pray. I ask you to pray along in your faith tradition as I pray in mine. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together today in a spirit of unity. We come to you today seeking your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we conduct this council meeting. Father, help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Lord, allow us to grow closer as a group so that we may nurture the bonds of this Willingboro community. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind and a bridled tongue. Father, may we voice our truth and listen to each other with an element of tenderness in our hearts. And lastly, may we discern your will and unite one another in a fruitful outcome. And Lord, while there are many faith traditions represented under the sound of my voice, I, Chaplain Laurie E. Witherspoon, close this period of invocation and prayer in the mighty name of Jesus. Let us all say, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Captain Witherspoon.
Let us stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have our Black History Month proclamation. Yeah, we did it. Councilwoman Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Office of the Mayor, Township of Willingboro, Black History Month proclamation. Whereas National African American History Month is an occasion to rediscover the enduring stories of African Americans and the gifts of freedom, purpose, and opportunity they have bestowed on future generations. It is a time to commemorate the countless contributions of African Americans, many of who lived through and surmounted the scourge of segregation, racial prejudice, and discrimination to enrich every fiber of American life. Many diverse ethnic and racial groups have all played a vital and positive integral part and contributed to the promulgation of America's unique social, cultural, scientific, spiritual, political, and economic development. And whereas the origins of Black History Month can be traced to the scholar Carter G. Woodson, who in 1929 conceived a yearly celebration to help rectify the omission of African Americans from history books. Dr. Carter G. Woodson was an American historian, author, journalist, and the founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. He was one of the first scholars to study the history of African diaspora. Today, the observance of Black History Month, or National African American History Month, throughout the United States stands as a testament to the success of Woodson's project and an example of how we can work together to teach and appreciate such history. And whereas the theme of Black History Month 2024, African American and the Arts. While we celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans throughout the year, this month we will specifically and intentionally celebrate their bravery and sacrifice on this long road to justice, as well as appreciate their contributions in the arts. Now, therefore, I, Kaya T. McIntosh, Mayor of the Township of Willingboro, do hereby, along with the Township Council, proclaim February as Black History Month in 2024.
Thank you so much, Dr. Worthy. Moving on, Mr. Harris, you may start your municipal updates, please.
Good evening, Mayor and governing body members, residents of Willingboro Township. I just have a few updates of things that have been happening since our last report. I did give the council a full formal report from our operations as of January of last year. Our finance department has been working attentively with the township auditors and department directors to finalize the 2023 financials and generate financial statements for the township operations in 2023. The department has been working assiduously with the auditors to prepare the annual financial statement and the annual debt statement, which is statutorily due by January 31st of each year. The net debt valuation percentage that is allowable for municipalities is 3.5%, and our annual debt statement is complete, and the municipality reported 1.73% net debt valuation expressed as a percentage, which means Willingboro Township is well below the statutory limits for debt. The municipality is currently working on a temporary budget, and we anticipate the budget for 2024 will be ready for introduction in March. For the month of January, there was $1,459,387.84, which 1.2 of that was tax revenue. A monthly allotment was allocated to the Willingboro Board of Education in the amount of $3,273,775 and some change, and the first quarter taxes in the amount of $2,031,814 was sent to the county. Some happenings in our police department. Patrols are continuing to enforce several ordinance violations throughout the month. The police department's focus has been on the shopping centers throughout the municipality and the parking in front of our schools. Residents are reminded to review Ordinance 356-7 in reference to stopping or standing, which is prohibited during certain hours, specifically as it relates to parking in front of the schools. The police department is still continuing to give out the free club steering wheels. They have some left over, which were given out last year in response to a Facebook challenge challenging people to go and steal specifically Kias or Hyundais. So if you are a Willingboro resident or working Willingboro, you can make contact with the Township Police Department and receive a club-style steering wheel lock. On Monday, January 15th, Officer Quartararo and Officer Wilcock did attend the MLK luncheon, honoring the veterans at the Foster's Military Lodge on Charleston Road in Willingboro. Unfortunately, Willingboro did record its first a murder in its police records in January when a 60-year-old resident in Willingboro was charged with fatally stabbing his wife inside their home in the Hawthorne Park section of the township. However, there was a report of a stabbing that happened in Willingboro, I believe yesterday, which was erroneous. The victim was reported to have been stabbed in Trenton and then returned home to Willingboro, where his family did reach out and get police assistance and medical assistance. And the Trenton Police Department is now investigating that crime. Last year, Captain Bucks came before the governing body and presented you with some statistics regarding crime here in Willingboro. It was a very good presentation reflecting how crime is trending down, and he will be coming back to the council hopefully in March to give you an update as to where we are at this time in 2024. From our EMS department, there are still 20 slots for the free community CPR AED class. That class was offered to 100 residents to get their certification free of charge. 80 have taken advantage of that, and there are 20 spots left. So if anyone is interested in getting their CPR AED certification, please connect with the Willingboro Fire Department, and classes will be scheduled. We want to thank Girl Scout Troop number 26492, who donated Girl Scout cookies to the fire department to show their appreciation for the hard work that they do. And the fire department does appreciate their donation. And for the first time in EMS history, the billing revenue for Willingboro came in at over $85,000 in the month of January, which is reflective of the amount of hard work that our EMS and fire department are doing to service our residents. Our Department of Public Works has been busy. They are still working diligently to take care of the streets and road in Willingboro and provide service to our residents. I will remind everyone that the DPW yard is open for public access to come in and dump recycling and bulk trash items on Thursdays from 10 to 4 p.m., Fridays from 10 to 2:30 p.m., and Saturdays from 7:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. The department will be going through the township on this Thursday to do a light inventory, as we are seeing numerous street lights out throughout the municipality. We need to get them cataloged and reported to PSC&G so they can be repaired. DPW did collect 27 loads of leaves as of January 16th, totaling 625 yards and 135 Christmas trees. They are still out collecting leaves. So if residents still have some leaves to be put out, they still have the opportunity for them to be collected. Last year, Mr. Lowry was good to submit an application to the New Jersey Office of the Secretary of Higher Education to participate in the New Jersey Career Accelerator Internship Grant Program. I believe we applied for internship grants for 9 of our departments, and we were approved to hire one as a clean neighborhood program aide, and we will receive grant funding in the amount of $4,000 to cover their salaries for the summertime. So I thank Mr. Laurie for taking that initiative, and we look forward to who our first internship will be in 2024. Our inspections department is continuing to be busy. There are 432 inspections completed between January 1st and January 18th, and the revenue collected during that time period was $37,040. There are a lot of projects that are still going on or will be going on in Willingboro. We're beginning to be our multi-road project, which is the segment 4 roadways, which are the 12 worth streets in Willingboro. That project had been bid. The bids were received on January 24th. The results came back very favorably for the township, and we are looking to award that contract on the 20th of February, and we're looking to start a spring 2024 construction. FY 2024 contract repairs, the bids are due tomorrow, and depending on how they come in, we may be ready to award that contract as well on February 2024. The FY 2022 multi-location stormwater repairs, that's going to be on Halston, Clubhouse, Windsor, and Buckingham and Berkshire. Those bids were also received on January 24th. Pannoni has made its recommendation to award that contract to Think Pavers in the amount of $442,191.20. And we are looking to award that contract as well on February 20th, also for a spring 2024 construction. We are almost done with the stormwater pipe replacement at Babbitt as well. If that price comes in as hoped, we will have the funding in place to make those repairs required at no additional debt to the township, as we did restructure that ordinance to cover those anticipated expenses. The Country Club Community Pool, that bid document for the repairs of the broken drain pipe were advertised on February 4th. We are having a pre-bid conference on February the 13th. The bids will be opened on March 5th, and our goal for the pool is to be repaired and open by Memorial Day. We are also working on the Pennypacker Pool as well, and we hope to have those specs prepared to fix a drain pipe and a leak there as well. Again, hoping to have that completed and done by a Memorial Day opening. Back in October of 2023, we did receive an additional grant for repairs on Marshall Lane in the amount of $407,425. Our engineer will be submitting those plans to the NJDOT, and upon their approval, we will be ready to go out to bid for that project as well. And we hope to have that advertised for spring 2024 construction. PSC&G is continuing to work and move forward with their gas line replacements. They have submitted about 150 street opening permits with the township and has secured funding from the BPU to continue with this project moving forward. Our ESIP project is moving along. They have replaced almost all of the lighting inside the complex and it's converted over to LED, and they are now moving on to other areas. They have replaced the HVAC units at the JFK and the complex, and we are working with the project engineer from Schneider Electric to make sure everything had been installed to standard and is working. We will not pay them anything until we get sign-offs from Schneider Engineer that everything is as it should be and functioning properly. Just so you know, we did experience some leaking in some of the new units that were installed here, and we are looking at getting that taken care of. And just in finality, last but not least, the JFK Theater project is also moving along. There has been some additional leaks that were discovered over the theater that we need to look at and make repairs before we go in and finish the interior constructions. So I know the seating fabrics have been picked out and selected, and that project is moving along smoothly. And those are all the additional information that I'm reporting to you this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Harris. Does council have any comments or questions for Mr. Harris concerning municipal update? Mr. Harris, can you give us an update or a status for the RFQ for our sports field?
The RFQ for the sports field was advertised on Thursday of last week, and that is due back. When was that due back? Do you remember? I'm not sure the return date, but it was published and put out last week. 23rd? Yeah, it wasn't too far away.
Okay. And also, can you update the community on the activities for this month?
Yes. Ms. Jackson, are you available for that?
Good evening, council and members of the community. So in recognition of Black History Month, our Willingboro Public Library has a series of activities and exhibits going on celebrating the 115th year anniversary of the NAACP. There will be a Founders Day reception on Saturday, February 17th from 12 to 2. Light refreshments will be served. Also, we want to highlight that there is a Black History Month reading contest going on all month, a Freedom Quilt going all month. We have Blackout Poetry going on all month, as well as Ambition the Poet, one-man show of poetry and music that will be going on Saturday, February 24th at 3 p.m. And then at the Kennedy Center, we will have our open mic night, which will feature music, poetry, and spoken word. And our guest speaker or presenter will be Edwina Simmons. So that'll be on February 16th at 7 p.m. And then on February 22nd, we are having Black History Month movie night at the Kennedy Center. And that is free admission. More information regarding the movie title for that. And all month, there will be a soft opening of art display beginning in the Kennedy Center Art Gallery. So please take advantage of that opportunity to check out that. That concludes the programs, okay? Thank you.
Ms. Jackson. Anything else from council? All right, Mr. Harris, you can move on to the explanation of the ordinances and resolutions.
So the business being presented for you this evening for your consideration is ordinance number 2024-1, which is a final reading, which is an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 257 titled Peddling and Soliciting, Articles 2 of the Township of Willingboro's Municipal Code. This was putting in a no-knock ordinance in place, allowing residents to register to be on a no-knock list, which would be required to be adhered to by anyone who applies for a solicitor's permit. That if anyone has registered and exhibits a no-knock emblem on their property, they would be in violation of a borough code. So that's ordinance number 2024-1. Ordinance number 2024-2 is an introduction of an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 272 entitled Duties and Responsibilities of Owners and Operator by adding a new article entitled Outdoor Placement. This ordinance is designed to restrict the time that property owners are allowed to have certain items outside of the dwelling or other enclosed structures for no longer than 48 hours, being located visibly from the street or sidewalk or adjacent to the property. That would be things like appliances, bedding, bottles, recyclables, cardboard, furniture, things like that. If anyone has those items out for longer than 48 hours, they would receive a notice of violation from the inspections department, and then they would be awarded a very finite period of time to abate those situations. We're not trying to, get on people's cases, but we're trying to keep the aesthetics of Willingboro pleasant by not having a lot of excess stuff just lingering around people's properties for days and days, even before collection. Ordinance number 2024-3 is in response to a new statutory requirement that requires a lead inspector to inspect every single family and multiple rental dwelling located within the township for lead-based paint hazards. That's through a visual assessment or a swiping sampling. Our inspections department had sent out, I believe it was 4 inspectors who not only got their inspectors certifications, but also their licenses through a grant that was provided to the township. And now they're going to put it to good work for our benefit. Resolution number 2024-30 is a resolution entering into agreement with Delta Dental of New Jersey for dental and vision plan coverage for employees and retirees. We are already in a contract with Delta Dental for the provision of these services, but the resolution last year was only to pay them through our 2023. So this resolution is just authorizing payments to Delta Dental of New Jersey to provide these services for the 2024 coverage period. Resolution number 2024-31 is a resolution entering agreement with Performance Health for medical and prescription drug plan coverage. That is the same scenario. We did the resolutions to authorize the payments through 2023. We are already in a contract with these services. So this resolution is just authorizing payments to Performance Health to provide those medical and prescription drug plan coverages for the township employees and retirees for the 2024 coverage period. Resolution number 2024-32 is a resolution authorizing an increase to the not to exceed amount for Bowman and Company LLP for the provision of auditor services to the township for the year of 2023. We were contracted with Bowman for not to exceed $88,000 for the provision of their services, but they did expend an additional $1,500 in auditing the ESIP documents, and there was an additional $2,500 that was spent to do some additional auditing and some recreation invoices and items. So that is the total of $4,000, which we need to increase the not to exceed amount by. Resolution number 2024-33 is a resolution authorizing transfers between 2023 budget appropriation reserves. Statute provides that all unexpended balances carried forward at the close of the fiscal year are available until lapsed. Sometimes there are some line items that are short, and the statute provides that we can transfer balances between accounts to cover shortages in line items during the periods of November and December of the year, and then through March of the subsequent year. So these are just transfers to cover some line item shortages from the 2023 budget. Resolution number 2024-34 is a resolution authorizing the approval of vouchers for payment and ratification. Resolution number 2024-35 is a resolution to approve authorizing the township to place municipal charges on certain properties for failing to address property maintenance violations. This is pretty standard. Resolution number 2024-36 is a resolution authorizing the cost of mailing for electronic tax sales. A few years ago, the state gave municipalities the ability to charge $25 per tax sale notice that had to be mailed, and the cost of publishing in the newspaper to defer some of those expenses incurred by a municipality onto the tax sale obligees. Resolution number 2024-37 is a resolution to cancel taxes for 2023 for exempt properties, including disabled veterans. This is a pretty standard resolution that is approved after veterans receive certain certifications from the state, which exempts them from certain property taxes. To date, we have 402 veteran residents that are receiving this exemption for an approximate amount of $1.4 million a year. Resolution number 2024-38 is a resolution authorizing the overpayment of taxes. Those are taxes that are due to or due back to residents because they were duplicate payments, or there may have been payments that we were not entitled to, maybe for a sale or some other sort of transaction. Resolution number 2024-39, which is listed on the agenda, has been asked to be withdrawn from consideration. And those are all of the ordinances and resolutions being presented to you this evening for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. You can proceed with the ordinances. Oh,
You want-
yeah. I apologize. It is now public comment for agenda items only. Public comment for agenda items only is now open. You have 2 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment for agenda items only is now open. Host, is there anyone online?
Yes, Mayor. Sarah Holly.
Good afternoon, Council. Sarah Holly. I reside at 9 Tioga Lane, been there for close to 50 years. My first question pertains to the resolution regarding properties not being maintained by the resident. Does this include all the residents or just some of the residents? Are there any exemption? And then I have another question. Is that going to be answered now, or should I ask my second question?
You can continue with your question and we'll answer all of them at one time.
And my second question is, if there is a renter in a home that's not maintained, how is that handled? is there a code of occupancy for all homes in town? And if so, I would need to know the steps on the process with that, please. And that ends my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Holly.
Mhm.
Is there anyone else online for public comment?
Not at this time. Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Public comment for agenda items is now closed. Mr. Harris, can you just address Ms. Holly's questions and concerns?
So I will defer the answers to those questions to Mr. Tunstall, who is the Director of our Inspections Department.
Good evening, council, Willingboro Public as well.
Speak in the microphone, please.
How about that? Better? All right. So to try to answer Ms. Holly's question, first of all, if it is a rental property, we would first confirm that the property has a certificate of occupancy. That's number one. Second, if there are violations of that property, those violations are sent directly to the owner of the property, not to the tenant, but to the owner of the property, depending on what the issue is. If the notices go unresolved within this prescribed amount of time, then a summons will be issued to the owner of the property as well. Once the summons is issued, there obviously will be a court date established. And if anything could not be resolved prior to the court date, it would be resolved right here in the courtroom with the judge as well as our prosecutor.
Also, one of her concerns was also, will there be equal treatment of all residents?
Certainly. I mean, the actual issue on the docket today are liens for properties, specifically for those who have violated or needed to have a resolution. But yes, all properties should be treated in equal fashion.
Thank you, Mr. Tunstall. All right, Mr. Harris, you may move on to the ordinances.
Ordinance number 2024-1 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 257, peddling and soliciting Articles 2 of the Township of Willingboro Municipal Code. Is there a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2024-1?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Just
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Perone?
Thank you. Mr. Harris, my question's relating to the actual resident. So I know that we have this process for a solicitor to obtain, we'll call it documentations and permits in order to solicit. However, if somebody is just knocking on a person's door, is there some sort of symbol or sticker on the person's door for that individual to know? That's where my question is going. Do you have?
Okay, so we'll hold your question. So let's move through the motion and then we'll address that in the public
Okay.
comment.
We can do that. Mhm.
So the motion was to open the public hearing on ordinance number 2024. It was moved by Councilmember Perone, seconded by Dr. Worthy. You ready for the roll call?
Yes, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Okay. So now the question by Councilwoman Perone is if there were someone who were just knocking on the door, would they be in violation of the no-knock ordinance?
No, knocking on the door and trying to sell something to, basically, what is the identifier for that residence where the person would know not to knock on this door and to go and get a permit? Is there some sort of symbol or?
Yes, upon registration, there will be a sticker that will be issued to the resident. They could place on their door identifying that this is a no-knock property,
Okay,
and then they would be in violation of the ordinance.
okay.
That
so-
list would be given to anyone who comes into the clerk's office and registers for a solicitor's permit
Mhm.
or canvasser's permit. But understanding that there are some activities that are exempt under those types of laws.
Right, and I did read that. So now, as far as like safety mechanisms, so if somebody's knocking on a door anyway, even though the sign says not to, what should the resident do in order to, you know,
The resident should always call the police department
the
if someone is knocking on their door and they're uncomfortable with opening the door.
okay. All right, that's all my questions that I have.
Thank you. We continue.
So were there any other comments from the public for the? Is there a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 2024-1?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Whitfield, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
And we are going to have the final reading on ordinance number 2024-1, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 257, peddling and soliciting, articles 2 of the Township of Willingboro Municipal Code. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-1?
Yes.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Whitfield, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Roll call.
Any conversation, discussion? No.
Any discussion? I apologize. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield.
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-1 has been finally adopted. This ordinance will go into effect 20 days after the notice of adoption is published according to law. Next for your consideration is ordinance number 2024-2, which is an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 272 entitled Duties and Responsibilities of Owner and Operator by adding a new article entitled Outdoor Placement. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 2024-2?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-2 has been properly introduced. There will be a public hearing, final reading, and possible adoption to be held on February 20th, 2024, after the notice of hearing is published in accordance with law.
Thank you.
Next for your consideration is ordinance number 2024-3, which is an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Willingboro, specifically Chapter 280 entitled Renter Property by adding a new article entitled Lead-Based Hazard Inspection Requirements for Rental Dwellings. That's a twister. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 2024-3?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Councilwoman Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2024-3 has been properly introduced. Public hearing, final reading, and possible adoption will be held on February 20th, 2024, after the notice of hearing is published in accordance with the law.
Thank you. Council, are there any resolutions you would like to pull out for further discussion?
Resolution 2024-31.
31, okay. Any other resolutions? Okay. I make a motion for a consent agenda for resolutions 2024-30 and resolution 2024-32 through resolution 2024-38.
So
Second.
moved.
All right, moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Dr. Worthy. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I moved it.
Oh, second. I'm sorry. Second.
Moved by Mayor McIntosh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
And Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
And the consent agenda has been adopted.
Thank you. And then have to go over 2024-31.
So for your consideration is resolution number 2024-31, which is a resolution to enter into an agreement with Performance Health for medical and prescription drug plan coverage for employees and retirees for 2024.
Any discussion?
Yes. So for purposes
Need a
of,
motion.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh,
Yes.
So moved. Need a second.
Second. Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any discussion?
yes.
Right, Deputy Mayor.
So for purposes of this resolution, I just want to bring some clarity to it. It's my understanding that this is not a contract. We already did a contract with them up until August of 2024. Is that correct, Mr. Harris?
That is correct.
So what this is for the payment. So as long as the employees are in this program, even if they decide to move out of the program at some given date, but up until that point, we have to secure these payments. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's just what this is for, just the payments. So from January 1 till whenever any changes are made, if changes are made, that's what the coverage is, just for clarification, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peron,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
Resolution number 2024-31 has been adopted.
Okay. Move on for treasurer's report.
Is there a motion to accept and approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peron,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
and Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
And the treasurer's report has been accepted.
No minutes. All right, there are no minutes for tonight. And there's no municipal clerk's update. Moving on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business?
All right, so for unfinished business, I want to go back and revisit the conversations that we had on December 6th regarding the current benefits carriers and the conversations of possibly going back to the state. We had a presentation by the president and members of the ASME union on December 6th, and it was expressed through a letter that was read by the president that their wish was to go back to the state plan, as well as the letter indicated two other unions were also interested in going back to the state plan. So once that came to us as council, what we requested was to have all three representatives from those unions come before us to express their same sentiments as to, them wanting to go back. We want to make sure that the representation is heard by council, that we are fully aware of what's happening. We had the opportunity to hear some of the stories. And for me, as just one individual, personally, when we say something is going to be equal or greater to, that's what the expectation is. From the stories I've been hearing, the employees have been acting as administrators for their own policies, fighting to get what they didn't have to fight for in the past, as well as becoming sales agents for this carrier by bringing on business to see if their positions would be accepted into this program. So just right there, some of these stories, some of the pain, personally for me, it doesn't appear to be greater than or equal to, but we want to hear from the representatives who represent the employees. And that's what we've asked to happen tonight. Based on what we hear, council will then, make a decision on if this is the best thing for the employees. But we want to hear from the representatives. So this way that the message that's coming to us is clear and precise, with the understanding that if it's decided that you go back, that you have full understanding of what you're going back to. So if the state, let's say, had 10 participants at the time, but you decide to go back and there's only 5, that there's clear understanding. If there's any increases by going back, that there's full understanding of what you're going back to. So we just want to make sure that that message is brought forth by you to us so that we know there's clear understanding all the way around.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So you want to open this up now?
Yes.
Okay. Any representatives would like to come up and speak? Where's the insurance? I didn't see the insurance. Were they here? The insurance representative?
They're online.
Oh, their insurance representatives are on the line. I'm gonna have them speak. You heard me, Nat?
Okay, that's fine.
You want them to go first? I'm gonna have the insurance representative speak first. And they're online. I'm gonna have the insurance representative speak first. Mhm.
Mayor, if I may, before they
Yes.
go. Sean, if you could promote Kathleen DSO and then Dave Mobus. While he's doing that, I'll just get started. So last year, we transitioned our healthcare. In 2023, the state health benefit plan increased 23%. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. In response to that, and at the request of the employees, the township began working to find an alternate solution to ease the financial impact. And not only the financial impact, but also find a solution that would give the township more discretion over our healthcare, more personalized healthcare, specific to Willingboro residents, and not a conglomerate of municipalities in New Jersey. In doing so, we connected with the broker USI to assist us with going to the open market. The big 5, Aetna, United Healthcare, Horizon, Cigna, and AmeriHealth, all declined to quote because of the lack of claims data that was provided by the state health benefits plan. That's strategic. That's a strategic move by the state health benefit plan because they don't want you to leave. Because of that increase, many municipalities in New Jersey actually left the state health benefit plan last year and went to self-funded models. Aetna actually provided us a verbal, all of those declined to give us quotes. Aetna gave us a verbal quote for 50%. That was 50% higher than the current plan that we were on at that time. Horizon also provided an uncompetitive quote, which was 10% higher than the current plan at that time. Our next option was a self-funded reference-based pricing program that allowed us to maintain our current level of benefit at 15% below our current rate, which is, of course, the third-party administrator Performance Health. Through Performance Health, we guaranteed the same level of benefit as previously in the state health benefit plan. Admittedly, our transition has been less than stellar. We haven't been without administrative hurdles, and I emphasize administrative hurdles. We recognize each concern of our employees. We take those very seriously. And at each moment, after every instance that was brought to our attention, myself personally, Mr. Harris, we conveyed those concerns to our representatives with USI and Performance Health immediately. Understanding those concerns, we continue working with our partners at USI to find solutions. To that end, a lot of the concerns at the beginning was that there was a lack of a network and that the employees didn't have the ability to go on to a website like they did in previous with Horizon to go find a list of doctors. And I think that's what the deputy mayor was referencing when he brought up sales agents and bringing business on to Performance Health. Not necessarily accurate in terms of what the process is. When you nominate your doctor, you're not necessarily bringing business to Performance Health. You're creating a single case agreement between the employee, the individual employee, the doctor, and the the township because we are, in fact, the insurance carrier because we're self-funded. On January 1st this year, we connected with USI and we were able to provide a network option, multi-plan PHCS, which is a practitioner-only network, which would allow employees to access thousands of doctors with many specialties, many whom are in this area. To be frank, Performance Health wasn't planned to be our last stop or part of our long-term plan as a self-funded entity. As previously stated, the state health benefit plan prevented us from capturing our full picture of claims data and using that history to go to the open market. Again, as a self-funded entity, we have easy access to that information to use it to the best way that best fits Willingboro and our employees here. Recognizing those challenges, recognizing the challenges that our employees are facing, that the concerns that they have in terms of nominating doctors, in terms of the administrative challenges that they have had, we are working with Performance Health, we're working with USI to go back out into the open market in April using the 6 months of claims data that we've gotten from from August to now, coupled with the information that the limited information that we did get from the state health benefit plan, to go back out to the open market to see if we can get more quotes, new quotes from those big carriers to see what those options are. Because it's really in our best interest not to go back into the state health benefit plan because there's so many municipalities that are leaving that plan because of the increasing rates. So a lot of the municipalities that are still in the state health benefit plan are municipalities who don't have good claims history. Because they don't have those good claims history, they are driving the rates up. So in 2023, we saw a 23% increase in premiums. In 2024, they went up another 9%. If it's the mayor's will, the council, I can have Dave and Kathleen speak a little more about what that process looks like going back out to the state, what that process looks like going back out to the market to see what those options will be and how that's a benefit to us here in Willingboro.
All right, thank you. Yes,
Yep.
please have them come on.
Sean, if you could have Dave Mobus promoted and Kathleen as well, they'll be able to speak more about our future plans.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council, administration, and members of the community. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I think Gary did a very good job. Mr. Lowry did a very good job of explaining the situation, and I'd be happy to add some more information and answer questions that you all may have. Also have on the line Kathleen Diesso. Kathleen is our lead account manager for Willingboro Township, and I am the account lead at USI. So as Gary stated, our objective was very clear. The town was interested in seeing what the alternatives were to move away from the state. And we came up with an alternative that we felt would be very, very effective because, for one thing, substantial savings. So the 15.8% decrease from current, not considering the avoidance of the 9% increase that we got on January of 2024. So, the savings is actually more substantial and it's guaranteed savings. So what happens with this plan annually is there's a calculation that's done of the claims, and there is, in addition to the upfront savings, there is a return of surplus. These are characteristics of self-funded plans and are the type of characteristics that are attracting towns and schools to move away from the state plan, which we all know the premiums have just been going up at a rate that is unmanageable. So the intention was to find an alternative outside the state. As Gary mentioned, Mr. Lowry mentioned, we did not get a lot of responses from the the mainstream carriers. The reason that we did not get the responses was because the claims data that we get from the state is always very old. And an underwriter for an insurance company wants the most current information. The claims data does not include any details of high claimants, which is the one thing that insurance underwriters want to focus on when they're establishing rates for a plan. So the challenge was that we really didn't have a lot of interested parties providing us with quotes. So strategically, and this is a strategy that many municipalities are using, is you go to a third-party administrator. In this case, that company is Performance Health. We have a stop-loss carrier that protects us from high claims, both on an aggregate and a specific basis. Okay, and that we were able to get very competitive rates using some alternative underwriting methods that stop-loss carriers are adopting more and more readily now. And so the end result was this plan with Performance Health. They guaranteed the benefits to be equal to or better than. I am confident that they are meeting that requirement. I totally hear what you're saying, Deputy Mayor. I understand your concerns, and we are 100% listening to your concerns, and we are fully aware and taking all of the necessary actions to alleviate the problems that have occurred. But they are matching the benefits exactly to the specifications of the benefits from the state health benefits plan. That's where we are telling you it's guaranteed equal to or better than. So there has been some challenges. I think that our team has been very responsive in resolving problems that have been brought to our attention, and adding this network option on January 1st, I think will make the plan run significantly smoother going forward. Okay, and so what we're now able to do, okay, is because we have very comprehensive claim data, which we can marry with the older data that we got from the state. We can go out to the marketplace well in advance of the August renewal, and we will get quotations from carriers directly, such as Aetna, Cigna, United, AmeriHealth, even Blue Cross. We'll get all those carriers to look at your group with good underwriting information, and we hope to get competitive quotes. We will also look at health insurance funds, which are another very, very effective way to participate in your good claims experience. Okay, so it's a form of self-funding, but you're bundled with a number of other towns in your region. So we are basically looking at all possibilities, including going back to the state, but I would suggest to you that that would be as a last resort. As Mr. Lowry pointed out, the pricing in that plan is escalating too significantly, and too many towns are pulling out, leaving a less desirable risk pool behind, which is, compounding the problem. So our objective is to be able to get you more alternatives this year than we were able to get last year, for sure, and share with the administration all of the options that are out there. We will certainly continue to require the benefits be equal to or better than. We will look to provide network options. We see a lot of towns using Aetna and Cigna as some of the big name networks that lend themselves to self-funded plans. which is, again, a good strategy. But I don't want to, I tend to ramble. I could go on all night. I think we covered I think Mr. Lowry did a really great job of covering the situation, and Kathleen and I would just like to be available as long as needed to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council?
Yes. So I do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to address council, to give us an understanding of where everything stands from your side. For me personally, as one member of this council, until this issue came to council, there was no proactive measures taken by yourself or the administration here to keep council up to date as to what was happening. We were under the impression that everything was just fine and everything was working until employees started to complain. For me, it's great that there's a savings, but when it comes to our employees, which are the heartbeat of this community, I'm not concerned about a savings. When we hear employees scared to go to the doctor because they're not sure if they're going to be covered, it's concerning. Once again, savings is great, but in this situation, with the situations, the conversations that we've heard as a council about our employees, my concern is not the savings, it's their health, them being able to go to a doctor to feel comfortable. So even if it is at a greater cost, it's what makes them comfortable. If they're willing to take on that extra cost, this is a choice that the unions will discuss tonight, but I'm not going to risk someone's health and them being afraid, literally afraid, based on the testimonies that we heard in December, which was heart-wrenching. And I appreciate you trying to take the extra steps, but I think those steps should have been taken before it was brought to council. So right now, I just don't think it's genuine that these steps are now being taken. And that's just me speaking as an individual on this council. So I'm prepared to hear what the unions have to say in regards to this matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we can have representatives from the union, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council, Township Manager, Clerk, and esteemed fellow residents. Good evening. I am George Brown, and I'm honored to stand before you as the president of AFSCME Local 327, representing our dedicated membership. With me tonight are members of my executive board and committed individuals from our membership body. Since our last meeting, we've diligently gathered information, conducted surveys, and assessed the current plan against the State Health Benefits Plan. Despite promised savings of $360,000, returning to the State Health Benefits Plan at a cost of approximately $2.6 million proves financially prudent when considering the additional costs and administrative burden on our members. The PACS supplement, overwhelmingly rejected by our membership, highlights the satisfaction and concerns within our workforce extending beyond mere cost implications. We've scrutinized the current plan's additional costs associated with the rejected supplement, the USI insurance brokerage services, actuarial services, and catastrophic event insurance, revealing a more burdensome position for the township. The only viable solution supported by our extensive research and membership feedback is a return to the State Health Benefits Plan. The Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO plan within the State Health Benefits Plan offer unparalleled benefits, emphasizing the necessity of a swift return for the health, safety, and welfare of our workforce. A grave concern surfaced during the December 19th council meeting, the unfortunate disclosure of sensitive medical information by management during a healthcare discussion, which is a clear violation of privacy and a dangerous precedent. The current plan structure, allowing management access to personal health details, puts the township at risk of violating HIPAA privacy laws. This practice is unacceptable and must cease immediately. Our members have considered the promised savings, but structural flaws of individual contracting with there being no affiliate networks creates undue difficulty that significantly undercuts the notion that this plan is equal to, or even more importantly, better, which is in violation of Article 27.3, other provisions of the CNA and applicable law. And the risk of privacy breaches outweigh any financial benefit. The risk-reward ratio is too significant, risking timely care for a meager township savings of $4 per pay per employee. Of all surveys received by our local, the membership majority was overwhelmingly in favor of a return to the state health benefits plan, despite the higher premium. And more importantly, there was not one survey, not one, that supports staying with the current plan. The focus of our advocacy is solely for the change in the medical insurance plan. The dental and vision care currently meet the needs of the membership. Local union representatives from the firefighters, fire officers, FOP, and public works unions, and our beloved retirees, strong stanley with us in support of a return to the state health benefits plan. Their voice must be carried forward, as apprehension, caution, or perceived conflict may hinder necessary individual expressions. We cannot afford another misstep with the healthcare plan. The only rational decision is a return to the state health benefits plan. Dependable and accessible healthcare coverage cannot be sacrificed for any purpose going forward. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The peace of mind, security, and reliable healthcare sought by our workforce directly impacts the well-being of our entire community. I urge this council to listen to the resounding voice of our membership and the workforce. Consider the facts and act in the best interests of our community. Rest in peace to Ms. Kim Crenshaw, taken from us far too soon, but your legacy lives on. Thank you for your time. May you all have a great evening.
So the question that I'm going to have is, all the unions identified here, are they represented tonight?
Yes, we have FOP here, we have fire.
Can they please come forward? We would just like to hear statements from these reps as well for those unions.
Good evening, Scott Cox from the New Jersey FOP Labor Council. At this time, unfortunately, I cannot give a statement because we're currently in labor action with the township, and at the advice of our attorneys, we just cannot speak on that. However, we are here, is all I can say.
Okay.
Gregory Swanson, Vice President, Broward County Professional Firefighters, and we are also scheduled for arbitration hearing on February 29th, and we're unable to make a statement at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody's finished?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, please. thank
Whatever you have to
Keith.
say, speak now.
It's just, as a union board member, and as an employee, but, I firsthand hear a lot of employees, me and the president of ASME Union, on a, if not a daily basis, a weekly basis, for sure, complain about the health care plan here, that we have to deal with. But I'm not going to speak about them because I can't speak about a lot of people indirectly, but I'll speak about myself. Myself, with the state health plan, I had two primary health care people, providers. One that I've had since I was probably 12 years old. My whole entire family goes there. It's a local practice, and I've been very happy with them. Then I was fortunate to find a medical provider, a Black woman that was really, we were reviving. She was going to help me with a lot of healthcare issues that I have. We had plans to get me back on track on some things. I lost both providers. Back in July, I did all the nomination stuff to see if either one of them would sign on to the healthcare. Till this date, I've heard nothing. I have inquired a couple of times directly to Performance Health. Was told that they would get back to me, nothing. But I'm not the only person I know who's had that experience. I'll speak for myself, but I think a number of us all feel like we don't know when we go to our providers whether or not we're going to get care. We don't know. I know I hold my breath every time I go because I don't know if they're going to accept it every time I go. Even the ones that are accepting it, they look at your card, look at you, and I'm like, oh Lord, please let them accept this insurance because we don't know if we're going to be able to be seen. It's embarrassing. You know, you almost got to sell the insurance every time you go. Oh, they're going to pay the bill. They're going to pay the bill. We're self-insured. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for a lot of people. We want to go to the doctors. We work hard here for the township. We want to go to the doctors and we want to get health care. We're willing to pay. We're willing to pay. We want to get service.
Just want to say something because I've been going to Penn Medicine for over 30 years. To date, they're not accepting the insurance. When I go, I use my credit card. My reimbursements are not coming back as I paid. I have the receipts and everything. I'm not getting full payment. So it's very frustrating. Again, like Lorraine said, you're afraid to go. There are things happening, but you're using up so much of money, you're not getting back the reimbursement on time. And when you do get it back, it's not the full amount that was paid. Anybody else? Also, one other thing, if you try to reach Performance Health, you don't get them. When you do get them, they leave a message for you. You have to call them back. You have to call back. You send claims in, you have to call to find out what's happening. Never had to do that. Explanation of benefits, it doesn't come. You have to ask for it. And then when the explanation of benefits come in, it's very cryptic. It's not clear. It doesn't resemble what an explanation of benefits look like.
Hi, Patty Conrad. How are you guys? Just wanted to let you know that nobody thinks that our administration is like nefariously trying to make our health insurance hard. I'm sure everybody wants to save a buck, but these are the things, these are really big problems. You sell this insurance and they're like, yeah, we're going to try it. Then they don't get paid for 160 days. And then you know what they say? We're not taking your insurance anymore. Because you know why? They don't pay it because they said, this is what they said to me, because we don't have to pay it. So now if I said that as an employee, well, I don't have to do that. I would assume that I would get in trouble for saying, I don't have to do that. So we have employees that aren't going to the doctor because they're scared. My employees are like, I'm waiting so I can have my prescription for a certain amount of time. It's a little disturbing and it's kind of heart-wrenching because they used to call our insurance the unicorn insurance. So great. Just a little disheartened right now. Thank you.
Oh, and I'd like to add that my last sickness, I kept being prompted by my supervisor, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. I went to urgent care. My last sickness, not the last one, the one before that, urgent care shooed me away. They did not accept their insurance. So the last time I got sick, I just did home care. I just take care of myself. I just found whatever I can find in my own cupboards to make me feel better because when you're sick, you want to get help. You don't want to be turned away sick. So I just didn't go to the doctor. I just got through it.
Hi, Deb Trowick. I just want to say, I don't have the insurance, okay? but I stand up for all employees. I'm on the executive board, and I've hearing all the stories too. And it's just really sad to hear that somebody said they had to go open a credit card to pay what they had to pay. One went to the doctors, they had to put out $200 for their daughter, and they didn't have it. They don't have that kind of money right up front in order to get service. Okay, so I hope that when the opportunity comes for the FOP and the firefighters, that they can talk to y'all, that you do talk to them to see if they're on the same page that we're on, so we can do something better for our employees. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and as I stated in my statement, please do take note of the presence of FOP and fire. Okay, as they may be apprehensive due to their conflicts.
All right, I'd like to just thank everyone for speaking up, coming to represent your cases, and listening to the provider. They didn't deny anything that you said. They said there was hiccups, there was this, there was that. But until we put pressure on the situation is when they decided to step up. For me as one, it's too late. As I said before, you are our most valuable resource. And I'm not going to put a dollar amount on you like we did with the trash contract. Okay? I'm not going to make that mistake. So me as one individual, I can't support that. To me, you guys are everything. Based on the document that Mr. Brown read, it does state that the local unions, fire officers, FOP, and public works stand behind this statement, understanding they can't speak to it because of their situations. So with that, those are my comments. Any council colleagues have comments?
Councilwoman Perone?
Yeah. Thank you for coming out this evening. It was helpful to hear more direct individual issues that you were experiencing. And in summary, what I'm observing is that, number one, of course, we all know this, we're a municipal and not a health insurance company. And what happened was, by adopting this program, our employees had to become insurance agents and searching for doctors and getting the best plan instead of doing the job that they were hired to do according to their skill set. So for me, the testimonies that were received this evening from the insurance perform healthcare is unacceptable. I find that the additional information that was received by some of the representatives from the union about not being reimbursed the full amount or not being reimbursed on time, burning bridges with the current physicians trust. All of these avenues are not just small mistakes, they're big business mistakes. And as far as I'm concerned, this situation should end today, and we should take every avenue we can to go to find our way back to the state insurance, whether they think it's a good idea or not. And I did hear from the township manager's office of your disagreement with that idea. But as you heard from the employees today and from the direct business professionals from Performance Health, this healthcare is not working. And I don't think we need to belabor it any further. I think what we need to do is begin to discuss what are the actions, what date, where are our attorneys to fill out whatever needs to take place to go back to the state health insurance. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perone. Any other comment? Go ahead, Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to say thank you to the employees for coming out and for sharing your experiences, for bravely speaking up and speaking out to represent what's best for you. I do support returning to the state health benefit plan. I appreciate the work that the administration has done to help save some funds. I understand the plan in terms of the phased approach that they were trying to do to be able to ultimately provide, Aetna, get more claims, data. I understand the process. I understand the systematic approach. It's just that when you add the human element back in, it's just not working the way that we thought that it would. And so given all that the employees do for the municipality, I can't even begin to imagine the lack of psychological safety and the fear going to the doctor. It's already hard enough in the Black and brown community predominantly to muster up enough courage to go to the doctor in the first place when you don't want to go. And then you get there and you're afraid that you'll be rejected. And I can say that when we supported the administration's diligence that they had done, it definitely was with the best thinking in mind and thinking that we really were doing a good thing. We were not trying to do something to undermine you or to make you feel less valued as employees. We thought we were making the best decision at the time with the information that we had at the time. And I don't believe the administration was trying to do something to undermine either, because they live in that health plan. But thank you. I really appreciate you all coming out. Employees don't speak out much at council meetings. So to organize and to come out, I certainly appreciate hearing the testimonies. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Worthy. Go ahead, Councilwoman Whitfield.
I also want to thank all of the employees and representatives that came out tonight from the unions. It does mean a lot, and your voices are definitely heard. I too support going back to the state health insurance plan. As was said previously, we wanted to provide something that was different with the information that we were given. But it's just not working out how it was intended. And we want you to have a good experience with health insurance. We know the work that you do, and we can't continue to function as a municipality without you. So we want you to feel safe and covered as well. So thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield. I do second the sentiments of the rest of my council colleagues. So I don't want to belabor the point. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the Township of Willingboro goes back to the State Health Benefit Plan.
Second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Perrone. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Perone,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor McIntosh.
Yes.
The motion has passed.
All right.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
question. So, Mr. Harris, with this decision, what is the process and how long will it take to go back under the umbrella of the state health plan?
We will have to pass a formal resolution, which we will prepare for the meeting next week. That resolution has to be submitted to the state, 2 weeks. Has to be submitted to the state health benefits plan. I believe they need 60 days. And then we will go through the re-enrollment process. And at your direction, Mr. Crook, or maybe Maggie, is reviewing our contract, or Ms. McHugh, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Are reviewing our contracts with, Performance Health and USI and Delta Dental and all of those. And we'll see what the terms of the agreements are.
So we will have a full understanding of what needs to be done by the next meeting in 2 weeks.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, and to add to that, also trying to get a date that we will be back with that understanding. Yeah, just some type of a window, ballpark window, just so it's just not open, it's not lingering, but we have an idea. And with that being said, on the resolution that we passed, 2024-31, with this decision being made, they will only get what, partial payment for the months that they're being used?
I don't know, that's what we will have to review through the contractual agreements.
Okay, so yeah, if you can just get back to us on that based on that resolution, now that we've made this decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and speaking up. It is always needed and necessary. So we do appreciate that. Is there anything else for unfinished business? We still have some boards and commissions to fulfill. So I'm going to attempt to go through this as easy as possible. So I'm going to make a motion. Yeah, there's Councilwoman Whitfield did email out the latest list. I just went through it to just try to fill in the recent leadership forms that were submitted. And so to make this easy, I just rather read all the names. All right, so I make a motion to appoint the following members of our boards and commissions. We'll start with Economic Development for a one-year term. It'd be resident Neely Hackett, resident Edgar de Oliveira, resident Lamar Leggard, resident Patricia Lindsay Harvey, and resident Merrill Adams. For Route 130 corridor, it's another one-year term. Resident Edgar de Oliveira, resident Lamar Leggard, and resident Marcus King. For the Willingboro Municipal Alliance on Drug and Substance Abuse, that's also a one-year term. Resident Cynthia Edwards and resident Alice McIntosh. Green Team, a one-year term. Resident Joan Tresky. For Environmental Commission, that's a three-year term. Member 2 for Patricia Lindsay Harvey, which the term will expire December 31st, 2026. And Zoning Board, which is a four-year term. Member 7, Marcus King, which will expire December 31st, 2027.
I second the motion second the nominations as read.
Any other discussion or any additions?
Madam Mayor, will you, you're doing all of them that are listed, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, did you say, Javella Phillip for parade?
I
and
think we
events?
did her already.
I thought we did too. Can we
Yeah.
just add her just
Yeah.
in case? I
Okay.
think we did it too, but I. see
For,
Parades and events.
Yes.
Parades and events.
are there any other ones?
And then we got, you said, Alice, you said this one, right? Alice McIntosh for municipal.
Yes.
Said that one. And then the Kim Brentley for the ethics
There's
standard.
no.
There's no
ethical
ethical
board.
standards board. It's not even a board.
Yeah.
We don't have an ethics standard. No.
Is there anyone else for parades and events from that list?
No, I don't see them.
Okay. Yeah,
We did them already, right? Yeah.
I think we did Jabella too.
Mm-hmm.
We did Jabella, so we did. Okay, just for the purpose, can I amend?
I'd retract my second.
Okay, and I retract no, I'm still in my motion, right? Okay, so I would like to also add Javella Phillips
For the parade and
for the
events.
parade and events as a resident.
I second the motion for the nominations as read to include the Javella Phillips.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. And if anyone is online, you may come into the township to get your oath of office between the hours of 9 to 5. Just come to the clerk's office for your oath of office.
Monday through Friday?
Swearing in, huh?
Is that Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday, yes. All right, anything else for unfinished business? Anything for new business?
I had one.
Go ahead, Council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to bring up under new business, for council's consideration, if we'd be open to doing, a council retreat or working session where we can continue to look at the, initiatives for 2024, some of the changes we're looking to make, where we are with the strategic plan. We have legal working on a number of different things. We have economic development and all sorts of things that we're looking at. I know that sometimes with the constraints of a regular council meeting, we're unable to look holistically at the year, and thought that it would be beneficial to be able to have a working session or a retreat to be able to really look at the 2024 in its entirety.
I fully agree with that.
I'm in support of that.
I'm in support as well.
Okay. But Dr. Worthy, would you be willing to take that task on to just securing our retreat and seeing, the options that we have?
If council's okay with that, I'm fine with taking the lead on it, coordinating, and helping put together an agenda. Sure, thanks.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for new business? Okay, moving on to public comment. Public comment is now open. You have 4 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment is now open.
Mhm. You know, I had my granddaughter who was born in October at my house.
Can you please state your
Maria Alexander.
in which street?
I live on Plumtree Lane. I've been a resident of Willingboro for 37 years.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. And she came to my house and stayed for the weekend. And I went to the stove to prepare some oatmeal for her. And it dawned on me that I was using water that hadn't gotten any update on. That the last letter I got about the water in Willingboro, you could not boil out this PF whatever C. And I was in a rush to get here and didn't bring those letters with me. And I thought to myself, I haven't gotten anything from the township in regard to what's going on with that. However, I did get something about my bill being late. And if it got to a certain point, they would put an actual lien on my property for the water bill being late or not paid. And I thought to myself, now here I have been for 35 years living, 37, in a township that may have been being poisoned, not necessarily, and do not take this personally by anybody sitting there, but by a group of people that were allowed to come in supposedly to make the water safe. And it's put a chemical in the water that can't even be boiled out. And now someone had the audacity to tell me, if I don't pay, you'd put a lien on my property for a water bill. That's the number one egregious thing that was really bothering me. And secondly, I've heard nothing in regard to, I did see that there was something being erected, some kind of building to take note about this water situation. Haven't gotten an update in the mail about that either. And I'm really bothered by that. I'm 69 years old. When I moved to Willingboro, I was 32. I've lost my husband to cancer. I've lost my daughter-in-law here in Willingboro to cancer. I don't know how widespread this is. And then I said to myself some time ago, without getting emotional about this, that I needed some help with that water bill because I had a pipe that cost me $10,000 that broke in my yard, flooded my whole first floor. And I've been putting my house back together. So I really haven't had the money to really go up and pay for this water that has been poisoning me. That I am now being told that if I don't pay it, someone would have the audacity to put a lien on my property. And I just want someone here to help me with that because there's a 211 and I went to the water company and they gave me a piece of paper. They said they can help you with that. Well, guess what? We don't have a grant. The same people that poisoned this water doesn't have the decency to even help us get a grant to pay for the polluted water. There's no grant. So when you go to this 211 number or you call and they say, well, sorry, Willingboro, we don't have a grant. We can't help you. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that there's help out here for water bills, but it doesn't pertain to the township of Willingboro? Are you aware of that? Anybody there? No. Oh, okay. All right. So no, there is no grant. So I said, well, why wouldn't someone in the Water Commission at least go to these people who poisoned us and said, you got to help our people with this water bill because you helped poison them. And I need to know how long this PFC has been floating around in this water in this township. For how long? And how are these people that came and put this chemical in it that was supposedly making it safe? Where are they in this whole Willingboro fiasco and Mount Laurel? Because it's not just us. Where are we in this conversation about this poisoned water? I need answers to that. I need a name where I can go and actually talk to somebody in the water commission.
Rhea, your time is up.
Oh, really? After 37 years and being afraid, I'm being tossed away.
You're not being tossed away. You're not being
It's
tossed
okay,
away.
but I wanted y'all to hear me tonight, and I'm glad you're here.
Okay.
But I need y'all to really pay attention to that because it's something it's insidious. It's not right.
again, as a resident of Willingboro, I can't get the honor. I haven't heard anything about this board. Your first. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
1 year old and I can't even boil stuff out.
Do we have anyone online?
Yes, Mayor. Yes, Mayor. Maddie Mallory. Mallory.
Good evening. Patty Mallory of Hudson Place. And I do have some issues, but I'm going in a different direction tonight because I was deeply affected by the deaths of the 3 young soldiers, Sergeant Rivers, Moffitt, and Sanders, because for me, it's a flashback of the Vietnam War, in which my husband and many of his friends who were commissioned at South Carolina State University were shipped out to Vietnam to serve this country. And I know the feeling of those families that are suffering with this loss. One of the things that my husband said to me all the time was that what he feared most about being in Vietnam was being killed while they were sleeping in their bunkers. So my deepest sympathy goes out to these families. And of course, we lost many friends. My husband was a medic, and luckily he survived Vietnam physically, but we know that mentally it took a toll on all of our young veterans. The other thing that, with that being said, I do have some concerns, and I will say that we can all get along here in Willingboro if we follow the suggestions of Spike Lee and do the right thing. The other thing that I want to ask is, why don't we have an ethics commission? I think that it's very important that this is something that we consider for the township, so that there are certain guidelines that we should follow in order to make Willingboro a better place to live. And with that, I'm finished for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
All right, Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Manager, and everyone. Thanks for this opportunity to share with you a few things that's on my mind. First of all, I appreciate Mr. Harris singling out the 2 wonderful officers that came to our Martin Luther King 3rd annual luncheon. I must say that Willingboro has some outstanding police officers, and whenever we have something that benefits the community, they're there to support. So I want to say thank you, officers. Thank you, Mr. Harris. Thank you, Council. Likewise, whenever we're doing the Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church is doing something for the community, we always have some representation. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to that same support as we have our Tarina. It's the 24th of February, Martin Luther King Day of Service, and it promises to be very special. Wonderful music, surprises, luncheon, and so on. So I hope everybody within the sound of my voice will show up at 201 Veterans Parkway, The church, St. Paul's is our host church, and that's where you'll find us on the 24th, which is a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, I appreciate the representation of the people who are suffering the inadequate health insurance. And I so appreciate our council, the mayor, the deputy mayor, the council members stepping up and saying, we have got to reverse this fiasco of insurance, because it's not right for our community to work so hard. And, you know, when it's time they're sick, they're not getting the coverage. You know, this is not Russia. This is, you know, a democracy. So I thank everyone, thank Mr. Harris for going forward now to initiate the paperwork, so our community can get the proper insurance that they deserve. Praise God. I discovered something this week where I tried to pay my taxes online, and it seems as if instead of facilitating my being able to pay easily, they're levying a hefty fine. So if Mr. Harris would investigate why is there such a penalty. I can understand if I was using my credit card, but you know, it's to be deducted from my bank account. So there shouldn't be such a levy fine levied at me, especially being a senior. They should make it easier for me to pay my taxes. So I wish something would be done about that. I appreciate the veterans who work so hard for our democracy, and you know, they're able to get some sort of special exemption where they don't have to pay their taxes because they have some deficit. And I appreciate what the township is doing for them. They deserve it. Anything that you're doing to help the veterans, I think they well deserve it. So praise God for that. And I think that's it for me. Thank you very much, council and everyone. May God continue to bless you as you continue to work hard for our community.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome, Deputy Mayor McIntosh.
All right, Kim Brantley.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. Good evening to everyone. First of all, I'd just like to say that I'm very happy to see that the employees of Willingboro are getting their opportunity to go back to what's going to be good for them and their families with the healthcare situation. I'm glad to see that that's something that we were, as a township, able to resolve and fix because it was very much needed for them. Second of all, 2 or 3 meetings ago, I had made reference to accountability for the people who do run the township, which is council, and I had made mention to reestablishing the ethics committee. As a matter of fact, today I put an application in. Like Ms. Mallory said, I believe that we all should be held to a certain standard, particularly our leaders. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like I mentioned this before there was any. I mentioned this before there was any type of legal problems within personnel in the township, and it kind of went over without being addressed. I mean, the solicitor did make mention that we would have to do this, that, and the other, but I had never got any feedback on that. But like I said, I did put an application in. I think it's a needed commission. It's been on the books. It's just not active. Secondly, I would like to say that I appreciate everybody who do recognize our veterans in this community. And this is to whoever wants to answer. A couple meetings ago, I asked when we were doing the budget if there was going to be a budget allocation for a DAV or a service representative in the community, because like I expressed right now, if a veteran or family member had a problem, I'm not talking about going down the Woodland Road or calling up to Newark. According to our website, in our mission statement, we have a Department of Veterans Affairs right here in Willingboro. And this being a veteran-based community, I think that people should be able to go right into an office, speak to a service representative, get their application filed, whether it's a spouse of a veteran, a child for a veteran under Chapter 38 for college education or what have you. And we don't have that. And I asked Mr. Harris, was that going to be in the budget? He said that they were looking at it. And last but not least, at the end of the last meeting, by the township clerk or the ex-clerk or the clerk who is now training someone after being asked questions by, I believe it was Miss Holly, then out of the blue jumped all over me for filing Oprah requests, just trying to get information that I think that as a resident I'm entitled to. I am a resident of Willingboro, and to be attacked online in front of the township meeting, I thought was very inappropriate. No one from council or the manager, nobody stopped it. Nobody said anything. There was no apologies. So I'm a senior citizen and I'm a veteran. And I just thought it was wrong to be attacked because she was being asked questions by other people. And with that being said, I
Thank you.
only asked.
Time's up, Mr.
Yeah,
Brantley.
yeah, I know it's up, but just know that we have a right to Oprah information for this township.
Mr. Brantley, your time is up, please. Thank you.
All right, Tarina Williams.
Thank you. Tarina Williams, 8 Botany Circle. Good evening, Mayor McIntosh, Deputy Mayor Anderson, Councilwoman Perrone, Councilwoman Whitfield, and Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy, Township Manager Harris, and residents of the community. First, I want to say thank you to Ms. Tanya Jackson for the weekly newsletter. They're very informative and something to look forward to each week, because Willingboro is a beautiful community that's actively doing something. If it's not one department, it's another. And it's really good to stay informed and be able to pass the word on to someone, especially when they're new to the community. One of the first things that I say is I encourage you to sign up for the Willingboro newsletter. I want to say thank you for the township workers who shared their unfortunate situation. And at least we can say this day, February 6th, we know that we'll be moving forward in the right direction. May God richly bless you, and thank you so much for continuing to put that smile on in spite of the hurt that you were experiencing inside. You're truly resilient, and as we honor our ancestors during Black History Month and onward, we truly can say we have some really dedicated workers right here in Willingboro Township. May God richly bless you. On Tuesdays, our church, Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, has a health talk. I inform everyone that on the 1st and 3rd, unfortunately, we cannot make it but because we're here. But I wanted to inform the community that there's health talks from 7 p.m., 8 p.m. on our church's Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID is 871-0209-5223. And the passcode is Adventist, capital ADVENTIST. For the most part, they're centered around the different awareness months. Like, for example, February is American Heart Month. So on the 27th of this month, our health ministry director who's a nurse practitioner, Temi Fashinu, she'll be having it on heart failure prevention. Next week's will be our family week. We'll be having a series on for families as well as people who are married, because not necessarily when you're married you have children. So it's geared towards that from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. All are welcome and invited. My mom announced the Black History Month day that we'll be having on Saturday, February 24th. It will be, please join us as we celebrate our history. I loved all the different events that Miss Jackson announced. And as we know, our township is rich in history. So February is one of the months that I look forward to each year. Thank you so much for your time and dedicated service. And let us continue to live, love, and serve. I really appreciated the chaplain's prayer, and I truly believe that it was answered. This has been a wonderful meeting. May God richly bless you individually, your family, and the whole township of Willingboro. Thank you for your time. And service.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Shirley Dilworth.
Good evening, all. Shirley Dilworth, 36 Newport Lane. I just have a few things that I'm concerned about. First of all, I do want to thank Mr. Harris and the council, the leadership of the council, for implementing that Clean Community campaign. It's been going on for a while. It seemed like it got off to a very good footing. But I don't know, it seemed like something has happened because the township is not looking very good right about now. I drive Van Skyver Parkway, okay, multiple times during the day. And along Van Skyver Parkway, the trash, the debris, okay, food wrappers and things of that nature, I mean, it is just awful. It's just too much trash on the ground. There's even, okay, trees, broken down trees, okay, in people's backyard. Seem like they have been cut up, but not picked up. There are large branches of evergreen, okay, in the backyard. This is outside of the residence fence. I don't know who's responsible for picking that up, but it certainly doesn't. I mean, it seems like I'm getting an echo. So I certainly hope you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. There's a little echo, but we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Okay, and in addition to the trash that I mentioned, okay, there's also the fender of an automobile, okay, or a truck, okay, on the grass. Okay, it is right at Hampshire Lane and Van Skyver Parkway. You know, these things really break my heart. It saddens me when I ride around town and I see the kind of debris, okay, that is okay on the grass, on the ground. I'm a 52-year resident of this community, and I really have not seen the community looking quite as bad and as unkept as it is right now. The other thing that I'm concerned about, I was happy to hear that there are ordinances pertaining to, you know, the aesthetics of property. Because as I ride around the township, and I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we do have an ordinance pertaining to the storage of trash and recyclable containers, that they should be stored, okay, at the rear of the property. But there are so many people who continue to store their containers right in front of their garage or right along the side of the house. where it is visible, from the road. But, if the Department of Inspection is not going to monitor this, I don't think people are going to respond to it. The ones who are going to respond positively to the ordinance, they are already doing that. But the people who continue to violate this ordinance, they're not going to change their behavior until something is like a fine is levied against them. And so I hope the Department of Inspections will consider doing something about it. Thank you so much for the time, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth.
Sarah Holly.
Good afternoon, council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Before I get to the meat of my comments tonight, I do want to thank Councilman Anderson for saying you're not going to make another mistake and put a dollar amount on the employees' health benefits, as was done with the trash collection. So that's a nice philosophy to have. To the woman who spoke about her water bill, I just want her to know that there's going to be a lot of liens against properties in Willingboro for not paying their water bill. Can't imagine she got a lien, because just this past week there was a posting on Facebook, which I responded to, about the water bill and their lien. Okay. And also to the lady, since council paid $19,000 to replace a senior's roof, they should help you pay your water bill. So maybe you should go up to the municipal bill and fill out an application. As to Mr. Brantley, Willing have a code of ethics. It's chapter 34 of the administrative code.
Ms. Holly, you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm gonna
just back for 5 seconds.
Yes. Stop my time, please. Stop the time. Stop the time.
I'm calculating the time. I'm not going to stop you. Just go ahead.
No, my time should go back some, because you've used up some of my time.
It is, Ms. Holly.
Yeah, okay. So don't cut me off like you did, Mr. Brantley. All right. Oh, and as it relates to Willingboro does have a code of ethics, which is chapter 34 of Willingboro's administrative code. We just need to follow the code. And also, I forgot to thank Councilwoman Whitfield and her crew for cleaning up Rodeo Park recently, which I had indicated to her that I would do back in September. So thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield. And now, at the council meeting last week, I asked 3 questions. The first one was, is the council reducing the salary of an employee who spent 3 years in the position of township clerk, a position which has qualifications set forth by the state of New Jersey, which the employee did not meet? That was my first question. Second question, why and or what additional amount is the employees compensated to train an employee for a position that, according to New Jersey regulations, did not meet the qualifications? And my third question was, has the same employee met the qualifications for the new assignment of the Register of Vital Statistics? New Jersey, and here's the statute, New Jersey 47:1A-5E provides that immediate access ordinarily should be granted to budgets, bills, vouchers, contracts, including collective negotiation agreements and individual employment contract and public employee salary and overtime. So therefore, the questions that I asked last week should have been answered. No, I understand the public is not entitled to the employee's evaluation, but the answer to the questions asked should have been provided through the mayor to the manager, not an employee that does not even reside in 08046. And as far as being petty and messy, it's a little discerning that members of this council will use those adjectives. especially since you are expected to be the stewards of our tax dollars. And Kaya, Ms. Mayor, Madam Mayor, I expected more from you, especially. So I am still awaiting answers to the questions that I asked according to New Jersey 47 1A-5E through E. Is this individual still allowed to adjust her work schedule in the fashion that became known last year as in leaving early? Those are my comments for tonight. So I will await answers to their questions as the New Jersey statutes stipulate. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Holly. Anyone else for public comment?
William Weston, 44 Bosworth Lane. First, I'm going to present to you, well, especially to the lady who came up earlier about the water. There's the Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority, and they provide the water for the town. And I will read a statement from the website, and also, first I'll read a statement from the website concerning the water. Willingboro has taken the temporary measure of removing that drinking water source, i.e. well number 5 exceeding the PFAS MCL from use on November 30th, 2021 until permanent actions have been taken to deliver water from this source that is below PFAS MCL. We are currently supplying our customers with water from our 3 treatment plants which service the remaining 5 wells in our system. Well 1, 6 in the combined treatment plant for wells 9, 10, and 11 respectively. These 3 treatment plants produce water that is below the PFAS MCL. Updates will continue to be provided on our website every 3 months at www.wmua.info. We expect these updates to be posted on or about March 8, 2024. And there's also monthly meetings similar to the council meeting that the MUA holds. Oh, thank you. I apologize. That the MUA holds, and the next one will be February 21st at 6 p.m. in their virtual meeting. So if you go to the website, you can log on to there. I didn't cover all the questions, but there is, what I will say is that there are things going on in the background to compensate for going after the source of the PFAS. I believe one of the sources may be 3M, and that is something that is being looked into as we speak. But we could talk after the meeting for more information. Also concerning just 2 things, and this is more as a resident. You know, I had to shout out to my neighbor who's been cleaning up in Van Sciver, and you know, because I see him out there in the morning. And also maybe the idea of a key to the city in lieu or maybe with a proclamation. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Weston. Is there anyone else online for public comment? Okay, public comment is now closed. We'll start off with the water. There is a water commission that we have, but first I do just want to address that no one in Willingboro is poisoning the water. We have a water source that comes from the ground, and what's been happening because of all of the development and chemical, as the commissioner said, 3M and chemical companies, it leaches into the ground and did infiltrate anybody's water system who has groundwater. Willingboro operates off of groundwater. The state just recently lowered the limit of PFAS, what you were talking about, the PFAS. So we were always within that range, and then they lowered it, and we had to shut a well down. So we did. So the Willingboro Municipal Utilities Authority did shut that well down. They closed it, and they're now building a well 5, building that space to accommodate taking the PFAS out. So at this point, the water is still under the level of PFAS. And I wish I had another commissioner on to just clarify that the drinking water is within, am I correct, Commissioner, is within the range. So, and the DEP had to send out, the Department of Environmental Protection made the authority send out that letter. So, I just wanted, there are things being done, and even we need clarification to your point on grants to help our residents pay this bill. But I'm going to have you go over to the Willingboro Municipal Authority. They handle the water system. And Mr. Weston, if you can give the young, okay, she is on. Okay, I'll have her on in a minute. But the township and the Willingboro Authority is doing everything they can to make sure that they have safe drinking water. But in terms of having some help paying the bills, somebody will talk to you about that. And also, I think they started implementing liens as opposed to turning people's water off. They will not turn people's water off at this time. So if it becomes too high, I think a lien, and I don't know what time period would that be, that they would place a lien on your home, but they will not. So they got out of the plan that they were going to turn water off in order to make sure residents are not without water. So that is the purpose of the liens, and that is a shift from time before. Before the pandemic, they would just come and shut the water off. But now they keep the water on, even if the bill's not paid, and in lieu, so they add a lien to the home. So that is new, but it's done to keep the water running in everyone's home. And we have our commissioner president from the WMUA online. So I'm just going to have her speak to you also, just to let you know what's going on. Miss Pat, are you on? Miss Pat Lindsay Harvey?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, you are very much correct. Our well 5A exceeded the state limit in November, and we shut that well down immediately. So from that point until now, no one is getting any water from that particular well. All our other wells are below the state standard. Unfortunately, the state mandated that we send out a letter that really scared our residents half to death with some inaccurate information. It said that our entire system was contaminated. It's a cookie cutter letter that everybody who has PFAS has to send out. We weren't allowed to contradict them. We weren't allowed to tell the residents that that was not the case. We have been in a constant fight with the DEP ever since that day, and we continue to stay in that fight. The well 5A remediation system is almost completed. As soon as it is, we will let the residents know that that well will be back online. It will be taking the PFAS out of the water, but our water is safe to drink.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Harvey. And
thank you.
We will have some, you can talk to the other Commissioner Will Westing, just to get your contact information and make sure, we answer your questions further. Thank you. Ms. Mallory, she brought up the Ethics Commission board. You said, can you speak to?
Yes, so as to the question on the Ethics Commission, there is a section under Chapter 34 of the Township Code addressing that, as was correctly stated by Ms. Holly.
Thank you. And there is a state local finance board that one can also go to if there is any allegations that they would like to file. Ms. Beulah Williams, she would like to know the penalty or surcharge for paying taxes. And I think she said a debit card. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know what the surcharge is, but it is not uncommon to be charged a convenience fee to utilize online payment mechanisms by credit card providers. By law, they cannot charge um, certain fees. So the way the state and other municipal entities get around it, they charge what is called a convenience fee to utilize online services. So I believe that's what Ms. Williams is referring to.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Total bill. Right. To do that, okay. Okay. And that's not really started with us. That's from the company, right?
Everywhere.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Brantley also brought up the Ethics Committee and also some concern that he was brought into a conversation by an employee during public comment I'm sorry. Oh, the Veterans Affair. Mr. Harris, can you answer about the Veterans Affairs first?
So he did ask if that was being considered for 2024 budget, and like I said then, and saying now that's something that's being discussed, and it hasn't been finalized yet.
Okay. Thank you. Also, we answered about the Ethics Committee. Go ahead.
Can I just add to the ethics?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's a little bit confusing. I just wanted to, I'm on our township website for Willingboro where our codes are. So we have 34-9, adoption of code of ethics. So it says here, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but just some of the most important things for right now. It says within 90 days after the appointment of the Willingboro Township Council Ethics Standards Board, which I'm going to pause there, is different from the Finance Ethics Board that we have in New Jersey. So the Willingboro Township Ethical Standards Board, the board shall promulgate a resolution of a code of ethics for all officers and employees serving the township. I'm going to pause there for a second because this is where people it's supposed to be a collaborative. I don't have my New Jersey law book here either, but it speaks to this board is supposed to be a collaboration of employees and citizens of Willingboro. And they have different duties and so forth. But I'm saying it because Mr. Brantley spoke, but he also put in an application for to be on this board. So he didn't do anything incorrectly. And I know that he was with someone, I'm not sure if you stated or the attorney, for him to go to the ethics board to find out what to do. They're going to redirect him back here because it says here what to do underneath 34-9. No different than the other boards that we have, MUA, parade and events. A citizen literally applies and are appointed. There is more involved, and just for time's sake, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but Willingboro already has one. It's called the Willingboro Township Ethical Standards. It's just that we don't have anybody on there. That's all I wanted to say about that. And then actually in closing, just on the same topic, I think it's important that we put on our website, because we're supposed to, our boards and commission. Now that's under 16-3, Directory of Authorities, Boards, and Commission. The township clerk shall compile and maintain a directory of all local authorities, boards, and commissions. Such directory shall be made available upon request from the township clerk and posted on the township website and the bulletin of the board and officials' notices of the municipal building. And there's more here, but what I'm reading that to say, I'm on the township website, and some of the committees that we just pointed people to is not on there. There's only Finance Board, MUA, and really that's it. I know we've also created other boards and commission with the youth. That needs to be up here. This way, any citizen can see what vacancies, what do we have, and so forth. I just wanted to add that to the discussion.
All right. Do you have any comment about the ethics board?
I would have to look into the actual setup of the status of your ethics board. There is something within your code allowing for it. As far as there are also county ethics boards, and as stated by yourself, Mayor, and Councilwoman Perone, the local finance boards. The local finance boards do a review of the local government ethics law that applies to every member of a governing body and certain local employees as well.
Right, and that's a little bit, just so you know, Madam Mayor, if you go to the finance local ethics board, it's more involved, and that's more like criminal charges type of things like that. We're talking about small things like Mr. Brantley spoke about how his name was brought up by an employee, little things that we can take care of here, I think is what he was alluding to. But, and then we have county, if it's bigger issues, but we're talking about small things. But I think you should look into it, to our solicitor. And if you want to look it up on our website, it is 34-9, and it's a whole, it's a lot of information there for you to read.
Yep.
That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Perone.
Okay.
Okay, and back to Mr. Brantley, also concerning the employee does have an right to speak and defend their name, just the way that, you know, other residents come up and they have things to say. An employee does have a right to say, use public comment for their purposes. So there's nothing for council to say in defense of it, but that's what public comment is, and it does allow for employees to say, you know, on their own recognizance. Ms. Dilworth, she did give kudos for the clean community again, but had some concerns about extra debris, trees that are outside of people's property, that are cut trees. She did say containers are, refuse containers are visible. And I think our ordinance does say you can't put them in the front of the house, so they shouldn't be visible. So her concern was code enforcement, enforcing, you know, our ordinances. And then she also mentioned, I think it was a car on Hampshire and Van Skyver.
So I thank Ms. Dilworth for her sharing her comments, and I don't necessarily disagree with some of the points that she was making about the aesthetics of Willingboro in some areas at this point of time. You know, we did come through a period of a couple of storms and some snow days, and yeah, there are some areas that are looking a little rough, but our Department of Public Works are aware of this, and they are working very diligently to take care of those situations. So just please give us a little more time and grace, and I assure you that Willingboro will return to its aesthetically pleasing state and condition that it normally or usually is. And Mr. Tunstall and I just had this conversation just 2 days ago about trash cans and things in front of people's homes. So these are things that are going to be addressed a little more diligently in the community.
Thank you. And Ms. Holly also had the 3 questions concerning our registrar. I'm not sure how to answer that at this moment.
So Ms. Holly made a reference to NJSA 47:1A, which is in reference to the Open Public Records Act, which she is absolutely correct. She has the right to submit an open request requesting government documents. A proper open request does not cover requests for information, questions, therefore documents. And it is not my belief that the governing body has an obligation to provide information in response to a question unless they choose to do so as a requirement of the Open Public Records Act. So if Ms. Holly would like to submit her request in writing, then we would have a statutory requirement to respond to her request for public documents within the statutory period. But again, does not apply to questions. Am I incorrect in anything that I stated, Ms. Solicitor?
No, Mr. Harris, that would be an accurate reflection of Oprah, and that it is a request for documents, not a request for information.
And I guess her concern was, are we required to answer that? She did make a statement that as a taxpayer, you know, she would like those answers.
So over requests can be made in different formats. If you would like to consider it as an open request at this time, based on the statement and the reference to the statutory provision, it could be logged and responded to in accordance with the timeline under Oprah.
Okay, thank you. Also, Ms. Holly made reference to her disappointment in me and that she expected more. I'm not quite sure what that means, but in terms of petty and all that, that wasn't necessarily towards Ms. Holly, but I still stand by my statement of last week that we do need to do better as a township, making sure we look out for one another and be good neighbors as best as we can. You know, I don't have a problem with anyone requesting information or wanting to know. As a taxpayer, everyone does have that right, but I hope that it's done in the spirit of gaining resolution versus attacks. And again, I'm not saying that directly to Ms. Holly, but I do stand by my statement last week, that as a township, we do have more pressing issues. And if we do not get along and we don't come together, then we're weaker. So I do stand by that, but in no way was it an attack towards Ms. Holly directly. Is there anything else that I missed? Is there anything that I missed for public comment? Okay, moving on to council comments. Anyone have anything for council comment?
Just want to thank everyone for coming out. Want to thank the employees for allowing their voices to be heard, coming out, standing unified, standing together, and being able to see resolve. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilwoman Whitfield.
I just wanted to again thank all of the employees and members of the ASME union for coming out, as well as the police and fire unions. I'm glad we are able to come to some resolution on that. Also, please stay up to date, and I look forward to seeing you all at some of the Black History Month events this month. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield. Anyone else for public comment? Dr. Worthy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you again to the unions and to the employees coming out to voice their concerns, and to my colleagues for us being able to find resolution. On a lighter note tonight, I wanted to congratulate a young lady named Indigo Pascal. She teaches in Willingboro School District, and she has a dance and step team, Getting Better Every Day, where she mentors young girls ages 9 to 13. And she had put together a dance team last year, and they performed. And she said, you know what, I think I want to do more. And so she created her own company, Getting Better Every Day. She created her mission and her business plan, and she found a place to practice. And she got these girls together and taught them how to step and how to dance. And she said, I want us to be able to compete. I want to go to a competition. And the team was so newly formed, she was a little concerned, but she was very confident in the skills that she had. And I am so proud to report that Willingboro youth were represented at the Mercer County Community College on Saturday. They competed against other teams that had been nationally recognized. All the teams they competed against were high school age youth. These middle school girls won first place at their very first competition. So I am excited. You know, Willingboro youth are doing amazing things. Our educators are doing amazing things. I was able to see the competition myself, and I look forward to getting more information together to present to the mayor for consideration for a proclamation for Indigo Pascal and her girls. They literally are girls. Like they were absolutely amazing. And so when people talk about what's happening in Willingboro, we have some wonderful things that are happening. You listen to a council meeting, you can get a little frustrated because you hear a lot of nonsense. But when you get out in the community and you're out with the youth and you're out with parents that are supporting these youth, taking them to practices, waiting in their cars as they're watching the girls practice, It's been amazing to watch them just grow. And so while the business of Willingboro is very important and we have a lot of work to be done, I have to always take a moment to take a step back to appreciate the good and to appreciate the splendor and the wonderful things in Willingboro, because the undercurrent sometimes, if you're not careful, it will pull you under, because some people have an agenda and it is not a good one. But I am encouraged by our young people, and Miss Indigo Pascal is 25 years old. She has found her purpose. She's working in purpose, and I'm incredibly proud of her and her team. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Perron, you have anything? Okay, thank you. To piggyback off of Dr. Worthy, there are many great things, and you do have to step back. And I didn't share this last time, but it was good when it snowed to see all the people on that hill. For me, that brings back Mill Creek Park Hill was packed for 2 days when it was snowing. It was and everyone, it was families out. And to me, that's what reminds me of Willingboro. And it was refreshing to see, because it is easy to get bogged down into the negativity or the people who have negative concerns all the time. But to see people laughing and enjoying Willingboro along with our recreational events, you see it all the time, the smiles, the joy. And, again, there's business that needs to be handled. There are real complaints. There are real problems. So I don't discourage anyone from bringing those issues up to us, because our residents are our eyes and our ears. But sometimes, as Dr. Worthy just said, you got to step back and smell the roses. So I hope each of us continue to do that, along with bring up, whatever issues or whatever concerns you see throughout the township. But, just take a step back sometimes and look at the positive things. Appreciate you and have a great night. We do have executive session today.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Whitfield, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Roll call, please.
Statement.
We need a statement. Oh, I'm sorry.
Contracts.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so you are entering into an executive session for matters discussing contracts, as an exemption to the Open Public Meetings Act.
Yes.
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 I do not anticipate action to be taken tonight.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
do you think we may need to extend? How long do you think we will be in on that issue? Yeah, we got 30 minutes, so, I mean, if we need to, I guess, come back to extend, we can. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if we need to come back out to extend, we can. Yeah, we should be fine. We'll wrap it up.
I need a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councilwoman Whitfield. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Worthy, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What time is it?
It's 10:08.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good night, everyone.